A very good afternoon. These are the top business stories live from the Sky Newsroom. Ofwat says it will stop customers having to pay for undeserved bonuses for water bosses. JD Sports sees £842 million wiped off its value in one morning, following a sales slump last month. Plus,
at $5,200,000. Jen, the Catalan is yours. Congratulations. Thank you very much indeed.
the $5 million banana that's shaken up the art world. Yeah, very good afternoon. Welcome to the programme on this Thursday, Business Live with me, Darren McCaffrey. Well, the water regulator says that 9 companies, including the beleaguered Thames Water, will be blocked from using customer money to fund what it calls undeserved bonuses for top bosses. Ofwat says it is stepping in to use new powers to prevent customers paying nearly £7 million in bonuses across the industry. Well, earlier I spoke to Ofwat's Chief Executive, David Black.
We think that the regulatory framework needs to change, and that's why we're introducing changes like the announcement we've got today. That's the first time we've taken action to prevent executive bonuses being paid where they're not justified in the customer's interests. We're talking about the next price review where we'll treble the level of investment. We think there are bigger issues in terms of sector investment planning, so the sector clearly hasn't invested enough historically. The reasons for that needs to be addressed. So we would agree that change is needed, but I think it's equally unwise just to look at one regulator and say changes there are going to change the sector.
But it comes to the point that looking at your remit, to me, I don't think you're fulfilling your remit. I don't think that remit's been fulfilled for many years. I mean, frankly, people would say that Ofwat's just not fit for purpose.
So we would disagree. So we, as I say, we've got clear. We know where the sector's falling short. We've got actions to address those issues. I think it's easy to criticise the sector, easy to admire the problems. What I'm focused on is taking action to address these issues. And so I think just to somehow or other criticise the regulator for taking action, for holding companies to account, for identifying issues and for acting on them, I just don't agree that that's the wrong thing to do.
There you go. That was David Black speaking to me a little bit earlier. Now, a federal court in the United States has issued an arrest warrant for one of India's richest men. The US Securities and Exchange Commission has charged 62-year-old billionaire Gautam Adani, the founder and chairman of the Adani Group, with defrauding American investors and bribing officials. Our Indian reporter, Neva Lazarus, has the latest.
A US Securities and Exchange Commission has charged billionaire Gautam Adani, the second richest man in India, with allegedly defrauding American investors and bribing officials. A federal judge issued warrants for the arrest of Mr. Adani and 7 others. An investigation conducted by the FBI found them agreeing to pay over $250 million in bribes to Indian government officials to obtain lucrative contracts. That would generate more than $2 billion in profit for the company in a 20-year period. The indictment saw shares of the company plummeting, some by more than 20%, hitting the lower circuit in today's trading, wiping out billions of dollars. The story has taken a different dimension as Mr. Adani is an ardent supporter and is closely associated with Prime Minister Modi. Opposition leader Rahul Gandhi demanded Mr. Adani be arrested and a start of an investigation, but said it may not happen since Prime Minister Modi protects the businessmen and is involved in the corruption. The ruling party dismissed these allegations, saying the private company will defend itself and that the people of this country support Prime Minister Modi and his credibility is intact and growing. In a statement, the Adani Group has denied these allegations as baseless and said all possible legal recourse will be sought. The company, it said, is committed to the highest standards of governance and transparency and regulatory compliances across all its operations.
Yeah, that was Neva Lazarus there for us in Delhi. Now let's bring you up to date with some of the rest of the business news on this Thursday. And there was a blow for the Chancellor today as government borrowing rose to £17.4 billion last month. That's higher than expected and is the second highest October figure since monthly records began. JD Sports has seen roughly £842 million wiped off its company value after reported profits will be lower than expected. Consumer caution in October, increased discounting and mild weather conspire to bring down sales. JD is the biggest faller on the FTSE 100 today, with its share price falling more than 14%. The boardroom drama at Boohoo continues. High Street giant billionaire Mike Ashley had already written to the fast fashion company asking it to sack its chief executive and install him instead. Now he's written an open letter looking for the executive chairman to get the boot. Mr. Ashley's company, Frasers, owns 27% of all Boohoo shares, making it the largest shareholder. It's not happy with how Boohoo has been managed and how much money it's making. And Bitcoin's rise continues for now. It's topped $98,000 for the first time as it continues to ride a wave after the US presidential election, up more than 40% in just 2 weeks. The incoming Trump administration is expected to be more crypto-friendly than the current Biden administration. And of course, you can get more on that on our Money blog on the Sky News website. Now, the Chancellor, Rachel Reeves, has unveiled a £5 billion investment in her budget to help deliver on its promise of delivering 1.5 million homes. It's also promised £3 billion in extra support for the private housing market. So how are things looking in the rental market? Well, the Newcastle-based build-to-rent firm Grainger has just reported a year of accelerated growth, with income up 14% to 110 million quid in the year to the end of September. Let's speak to Helen Gordon. She is the Chief Executive Officer of Grainger and joins me now. Very good afternoon to you. I'm going to start with essentially the rental market and how healthy it is. We've heard, haven't we, over the last couple of years that rents have gone up quite significantly. We know some landlords have pulled out. But from your point of view, looking at the bottom line, it does seem pretty healthy.
Yeah, we've built on last year's record year, and that 14% growth in income has actually come out of our new buildings. So we've opened another 1,200 new rental homes this year, and we've got more growth to come. Our like-for-like rental growth was 6.3%, so that's slightly down on last year. So rental growth is cooling slightly, and that's not surprising because rental growth is very much tied to wage growth. And as wage growth ameliorates, so will rental growth as well.
So when you say
it's been a great year.
When you say it's cooling down, I mean, what's driving that? Is you saying that people just aren't earning as much money to be able to afford to rent?
Yeah, well, at Grainger, we're a very responsible landlord. So we always look at people's ability to pay. And we know that our customers, on average, are paying 28% of their household income on rent. And we keep a close eye on that proportion of household income to rents, because that's the way that we keep our customers healthy. We get good rent collection, we get good occupancy. And so we run a very long-term sustainable business model.
Sustainable, but you do understand, I'm sure there are people watching at home who, would struggle to get, they say, to get on the property ladder, but even to get onto the rental ladder. It really is still a squeeze for millions of people up and down the country.
Yeah, I mean, we have a housing shortage in this country. We need about another 4.3 million homes. The government set out a great agenda for 1.5 million homes. That's very ambitious. The rental market can play its part in that. And just to give you an example, the Housing Survey says that we need another 1 million rental homes by 2031. So there's huge demand for rental homes. People are buying homes later. The average in the UK now is 34 to get on the housing ladder. So that means for many years people will be renting. And we have to stimulate the rental market as well as home ownership, as well as social housing.
Just going back over those figures again, you said that you reckon the UK needs 4.3 million homes, and yet Labour have only promised to build 1.5 million. I mean, that seems very well short.
Well, I think... Well, I think that is the estimate of a national housing shortage. Obviously, what they've planned to do is build 1.5 million over the next 5 years. But what we hope for in the housing sector is that actually housing becomes a multi-political, multi-generational solution that isn't in the that doesn't change with changing governments, and that we commit to building a really good housing stock for the future of this country. And it's so important because it actually means when people have a good place to rent, that so many other things in their lives go well. So at Granger, we say, if you rent well, you live well. You'll probably get better educational outcomes, health outcomes. You'll probably have better mental health. So good housing is important across all sectors. And sadly, for many, many decades, we've been undersupplying it.
Well, we have indeed. And so what do you think is, or do you think anything is going to be different this time around? i.e., do you think Labour can genuinely deliver on that target of 1.5 million homes?
Well, the reason I'm optimistic is the fact that, prior to the election, both leaders of the party committed to improving housing in the UK. And at Granger, we're in a great position with a leading listed residential landlord in the UK, and we will have our part to play in delivering new homes. And just to give you a stat, this year, we've since 2016, we've invested over £1 billion in new rental homes in London, but we're investing all over the UK. And as you said, we're Newcastle-based.
OK, Helen, for the moment, thank you very much indeed. Helen Gordon there, the Chief Executive of Granger. Thank you for joining us. We're just going to bring you some breaking news that's reaching us here at Sky News, and that is that 5 people have been arrested and charged as part of an ongoing National Crime Agency investigation into migrant smuggling from the UK to France in lorries. So that's from the National Crime Agency. 5 people arrested and charged into ongoing investigation into migrant smuggling with lorries from the UK into France. We'll have more on that story a little later on here on Sky. Now, according to Merrill Lynch, the art market contracted last year for the first time since 2020. But there are signs that things are improving this year. A banana stuck to a wall using duct tape, yes, you are seeing it on screen, has been sold at Sotheby's for, wait for it, $5.2 million. Apparently, it's a conceptual piece that was bought by Justin Sun. He's a cryptocurrency mogul. Now, his money doesn't actually get him the banana or indeed the sticky tape. Instead, he has a certificate of authenticity, which gives him the authority to duct tape a banana to a wall and call it the comedian.
At $5,200,000. Jen, the Catalan is yours. Congratulations. Thank you very much indeed.
It may be called the comedian. I am certainly not joking. So what does this tell us about the state of the art market this year? Let's talk to James Ryan, Chief Executive of Grove Gallery, an art gallery in London. James, before we get into the details, clearly art is for many people things that give them meaning. Fair to say this is quite a unique piece of art.
Absolutely, yes. Thank you very much for having me on this afternoon. Yeah, unique. I think it just shows people's fascination with the, let's say, the absurd, making things go viral. It's certainly got tongues wagging, hasn't it, at the end of the day? And I'm sure he'll be delighted to showcase it on his wall at his next sort of party or some kind of evening gathering meal.
Well, but this,
yeah,
isn't
incredible numbers.
Isn't this the same thing, though, in many ways? So he hasn't actually bought what you can see on screen. He's bought the concept of it, that it can be replicated. It's called...
He's actually said he's going to eat it, hasn't he? Which is...
Well, he's going to have to get there pretty quickly because it looks like it's going off to me.
Indeed, yeah. But, ultimately, like I say, it's all the theatre behind the art market, let's say. The auction houses are having to come up with new and fairly creative ways. I've noticed that the payments were accepted in cryptocurrency as well. He's obviously a huge cryptocurrency mogul. But auction houses have been having a tough time of late. And I think this will do, good all round and a nice knock-on effect, which will have a positive impact.
And just talk to us, this concept, I think they're called NFTs, aren't they?
Yes.
This concept of, like, not physically buying the piece of art itself, but the concept. Just talk us through what that is.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, there are ways of gaining some good traction and income. So if someone essentially were to purchase a JPEG, they can also have the physical artwork attached with it, but they can earn royalties from merchandise sales, for an example. So let's just say Justin, for argument's sake, wanted to start merchandising, the comedian, let's say. That's another good way of creating some income. But obviously, I heard the segment just before I came on that Bitcoin has rallied up 40% over the last couple of weeks. And obviously, since President Trump has been re-elected, it's had this impact across the board with all kinds of markets, with Bitcoin seeming to lead the way. So much so that someone's prepared to spend millions of dollars on this concept.
And James, what does that then say about the wider art market in the sense is this a new revenue stream? Could this help kind of push up sales that, as you say, have been pretty lackluster over the last year or so?
Yeah, I think that's a good word to use, lackluster. It will go viral. It will make people sort of way more aware. But equally, I don't think it's a bad thing for the art market, something as absurd as this. I don't think I've seen anything quite as crazy. But it's had institutional backing as well. And obviously, the value of art really does lie in the story. I know art is very subjective, but the real value, like I say, comes down to the marketing and ultimately the story. And this certainly is one.
OK, James, it's really fascinating stuff. And we will have to see where that banana ends up next. James Ryan, Chief Executive of Grove Gallery in London. Thank you for joining us. Let's just bring you some more breaking news, actually, arriving at Sky News Centre, and that is that the Foreign Office are confirming this afternoon that a British woman, Simone White, has died following poisoning in Laos. The Foreign Office have issued a statement in which they say we are supporting the family of a British woman who has died in Laos, and we're in contact with the local authorities. It's believed there's a number of deaths that have been related to a drink that seems, in whatever form, to be a poison that seems to have claimed a number of lives in the Southeast Asian country. And the Foreign Office this afternoon confirming a fifth person has died, and that is Simone White, who is a British national, with the Foreign Office saying that they are supporting her family and are in contact with the local authorities. OK, you're watching Business Live. We are going to look at the markets in just a couple of minutes. The FTSE is up to date. We'll have all the details after this quick break.
Migrants risk their lives climbing aboard these trains in search of a dream, the United States.
It's really dangerous. They often get robbed on this train.
They suffer a lot by police, cartels.
What happens to them next, we just don't know. Do you miss your mum?
Yeah.
With Trump coming to the presidency, how much longer will people be accommodated?
The journey you've been through, it's been very difficult at times. Has it been worth it?
See. This is a journey which goes by one name, the Beast.
We are under Israeli military restrictions in terms of some of the things that we can film, but it's important to be in there. What a slow drive for the president as he approaches his golf club. 4 more years! Free wherever you get your news. I'm Mark Stone and I'm Sky's correspondent based here in Washington, D.C.
Trust in politics is at an all-time low. What's going wrong and can we fix it? It's from Liz. She wants to know, why is there still no sign of the Labour Party electing a woman as leader?
It's sort of embarrassing. You know, it takes a very strong man to be leader, but it takes an even stronger man to support a woman for leader.
If you want to be mean to politicians, like, crack on. The activists that go out and make elections happen, I kind of feel like just don't be horrible to them. Be polite to them in the same way that they're polite to you.
Keir Starmer has got us into government with a big majority. He was completely clear before the election that he wasn't going to be able to do the two-child benefit policy, but I wouldn't be surprised if it isn't an early thing that comes along.
I went up to Gordon Brown and said, hello? No, yes, where is it? I said, found all these Tory candidates breaking land. Let me see it, let me see it. This is brilliant, brilliant.
This may be the Premier League.
I'm not like everybody else.
But this duo have been in a league of their own. It's Haaland, a striker like no other.
Like everybody else.
Son, Starman, the Tottenham Hotspur.
Like everybody else.
That's just stunning. Wow!
Everybody else. Like everybody else. Like everybody else.
Manchester City, Tottenham on NBC and Peacock. We've got your Sunday mornings covered. From the front page and the sounds of the streets to the voices of the people who make the major calls and big picture politics beyond Westminster. We'll put you at the heart of our story. A new start to Sunday.
I'm ready. Are you?
Join me, Trevor Phillips, Sunday mornings on Sky News.
Day of this conflict.
They keep telling us that they want aid.
And this is what's left of it.
Heavy vehicle.
Why only in America?
People want their country to work.
Just want a job in a normal life.
Why are these homes empty?
I want you to be honest with people.
That has happened within minutes.
Sky News. The full story first. Free wherever you get your news.
OK, let's have a look at the markets on this Thursday. Over on Wall Street, the Nasdaq has started slowly today, weighed down by a post-earnings slump in shares of Nvidia. Over on continental Europe, stocks finished up across the board, as you can see, all blue. Here in London, the FTSE also up nearly 0.8%. The big gainer, Halma, we spoke to its chief executive earlier today. Its shares up 5.7%. And as we reflected earlier, JD Sports, the major follower, following that tough trading month, shares down quite spectacularly, 15.5%. On the currencies, pound again down against the dollar, nearly 0.5%. And if we look at the Brent crude price, it is just under $74 a barrel. Let's speak to Michael Brown, Chief Investment Officer at Molson Curry. Very good afternoon to you. Let's start, if we can, actually, with the jobs market, tax, the budget. Andrew Bailey, the Governor of the Bank of England, seeming to suggest that it is going to have quite a significant impact when it comes to job creation in the future.
Yes, we're beginning to get really quite worried about the first half of next year. We can see the hospitality sector, the retail sector, which comprises almost 20% of the entire labour force in the UK, really cutting back hard as a result of the national insurance changes and the minimum wage changes. And on that basis, and in particular, given that they're also 25% of all vacancies, we can see quite a sharp increase in the number of unemployed. We can see quite a sharp decrease in the number of vacancies. And that's going to reflect back quite quickly. And the numbers from JD Sports are also showing you that the consumer is very wary of spending his or her money. So, yes, I think we could be in quite a tough situation in the first half of next year, which actually is exactly what the Bank of England needs.
And just on JD Sports, they're a big company. They've had a tough month or two, but it's quite a significant knock to their share price.
Yeah, and I think this is investors looking forward into 2025 and thinking the consumers are going to get crimped and it's going to be difficult and the cost base is going up very sharply here. And I think they're exactly in that sort of perfect storm at this moment in time. And so if you miss a little bit, if you're just slightly off the pace, the market's going to treat you very, very harshly. And we've seen a lot of that over the last 3 or 4 months as people have become more and more concerned about the level of economic confidence at the present moment in time.
Though people do seem to want a holiday, or at least have one in the past. I mean, Jet2 have done very well.
I'm much more excited about Jet2 in terms of how they're positioning in for summer 2025. You know, you've got a decent rate of increase in terms of the number of holidays on offer, just under 10%. You've got some price rises in there as well. You know, at the end of the day, all the surveys always show that we might be miserable and we might not want a new pair of sneakers, but we really, really want our holiday. And so I think people will come out and they will do that. And the other side is that savings ratios remain pretty high. So there is a little stock of cash out there for people to continue to go and buy the one thing that's really important to them.
Yeah, really fascinating, Jet2. I was saying earlier, it's an airline that don't really talk about an awful lot, but actually got a pretty solid base, and it's an airline that most customers who actually use it seem pretty happy with, which can't be said, to be fair, for all airlines, let's be honest. Michael, for now, thank you very much indeed. Michael Brown there, Chief Investment Officer at Mawson Curry, joining us with the latest on the market news. Thank you.
Thank you.
OK, that is it from me on Business Live for today. Of course, we're back at 11:30 tomorrow morning. Do join us for that. Up next, though, it is Mark Austin with the News Hour at 5 o'clock, including his interview with the Russian ambassador to the UK. Stay tuned for that, but from me for now, goodbye.